Hi there. Welcome. Hope the week was good. Every week I say the same thing. I can't believe how fast the week goes. So, as you can see, I've got some flowers. They were from Hawaii on my trip there. If you remember what I was saying last week about flowers in my hair. So here we are again. Hi Myra and Verpy. Hi Kimberly. Philadelphia, where I was born. Rebecca, she says she got my package in the mail yesterday and now she's sleepy because she stayed up too late reading. Your book is everything I hoped it would be. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I love writing it, that's for sure. Becky, how you doing? And Erica and Sergio and Stefan, hi there. With flowers, yes, Verpy. Always. I will one day return. I love it very much. Shadra and Yvonne, hi. Erica, you forgot your flower. Don't worry. Hi, Donald. Welcome. Well, I had quite a profound week, stimulated by Valentine's Day, I have to say, and just pondering about me and my who am I, which I have quite often. I have different cycles of it. And I wanted to share with you the making of two sculptures, my process of the Song of Woman and the Spirit of Man. Now, in order to do that, I have to tell you a little story first. I was in Lindos for one of our summer holidays, and I was reading the biography of Georgie O'Keeffe. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's known for very big flowers. And I had my Georgie, I can't even speak. I had my Georgie O'Keeffe cycle, and Sarah has them in her house. But anyway, in that story, I think it was North Carolina where she lived, and her girlfriend was about to go to New York City. And she was looking at George's drawings she was doing at the time. And she said, Georgie, do you want me to take them with me and go to some galleries and see what we can do? And she went, no, I don't want to do that. Not ready. Well, the girlfriend decided to take them anyway. And she was walking down one of the streets, which had a lot of galleries, and there was one, a photographer's gallery. His name was Steiglitz. And he had some very special photographs in the window, so she thought, well, they're a bit like Georgie's drawings. I'll give it a go. So she goes in, and Steiglitz happened to be there, and he had time. And he looked at the drawings and looked up at the girlfriend, who I cannot remember her name, and said, I want to meet this woman. She has the courage to create the truth of being woman. Well, that really moved me. And when I got home, I was full of the question, do I have the courage to create the truth of woman or the truth of me? And I went to my sculpture class and started to contemplate what that would be. And because I was trained not to sort of think, I'm going to do a sculpture of a woman, I had to let it rise. And we always started with little tiny dots of clay and watched. We started with this orb, and then it became an egg, and then some pressure started to come. It's a very universal way, so that you create something born from the creative impulse of the universe, ideally. Well, by tea time, this sculpture started to look a bit like a chicken. And I'm having tea and I'm thinking, I love chickens and I love eggs, but I really don't. Please, I don't want to make a chicken for a sculpture. So it grew and it grew and it grew. So I want to show you what turned out to be the Song of Woman. Let me go to my, we want to do Patience with Me, Ginger Gilmour. Here we are. And here she is. Just want to turn on the mics. Hope you can hear me talking over this picture. I'll turn one more on just to make sure. So there she is, my Song of Woman. It was amazing, and a lot of people came to me and told me stories about what myth she represented, and she was Daphne. You know, Daphne was made goddess because she was so beautiful. The men were always chasing after her, and she found it really difficult because she wanted love from the heart. So she was changed into the bush Daphne. So every time I see it and smell the fragrance and things, I think about her. But that's what grew out of my wish to create the Song of Woman. But of course, as time went on and I've spoken about how on a spiritual path we are a triangle of the masculine principle and the feminine principle with spirit. So I thought, well, maybe I should create the spirit of man. And he was born. And here's his picture. And he's got wings, as you can see. And that's the back. So I'm going to close him down and put in the front. And there he is. And both of them come in a bronze resin and real bronze and marble if the person that buys him her would like it in one of those mediums. So, you know what? I don't think you saw him because I'm just talking. Hang on. Here he is, the spirit of man. And as I said, he has wings, and I love his wings. And here they are. They're coming wherever he is. Come on. Right, we want the back, and him goes. And here he comes. There's the spirit of man with his wings. And I've got a photo I found today making these two. There he is. And there she is. Me in the workshop. So I will turn off these mics and then see what you're saying. 1 second. Getting a bit technical here. They were quite something to create. And as I said, we started with little tiny dots of clay. And I want to see, hi Bonnie. And I hope you heard everything. Well, hi Donald, Kimberly. Yes, I know her work and she paints beautiful. Hi Ginger for Devon, Janie, Verby. She said Valentine's Day made her a bit sad and thoughtful. And here in Finland, I know you said the Friends Day. I think that's a great idea. Made me think of lost friends or lost passed away and just disappeared from my life. But also I'm so very happy about, all the friends I have in my life. Well, I think we all are having that challenge. And in a way, hi Michael. And Lori and a sculpture of a chicken. No, I know. It didn't turn out that way. Thank you, Richard. It is one of my favorites. And several people around the world have it. I'm looking forward to the time that someone wants to make her in marble. Richard, they're not showing on your... Juliet, hi. Glad you got here. Yes, he's gorgeous too. Hi, Sylph. Well, Stefan, thank you. I love them. There are two versions. One is about 4 foot, and the others are about 8 foot. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Donald. Okay, Becky, does the sound have an echo still? Well, happy birthday, Juliet, to your uncle. Thank you, Silvano. So, in this whole process of Who Am I, since the Song of Woman was made, because it was during the time that David and I were contemplating separating, that I was wondering, who am I? Beyond 20 years of marriage and 4 children and rock and roll and my spiritual growth, when these sculptures came, and often art has helped me, because the thing about creativity is that, and meditation, is that you are given yourself the opportunity to touch a place in ourselves that in the material world is usually forgotten. And that's the place where peace and harmony and goodwill, wisdom is. And it also is an opportunity that the more you're in it, the more you will learn how to let go of the crazy enumeration of what did I do today that was wrong, or shopping list, or worries, or fear, or depression and things. And I listened to a very, very interesting podcast today, which does go live on Tuesday nights in LA, by a very dear friend, Michael Benner, Ageless Wisdom, on KPFK. And he interviewed someone called Stephen Schwartz. Very interesting, because from a scientific point of view, this man found, he researches consciousness. Please forgive me, Michael, if I'm not totally representing what he did. But the wonderful aspect of what he discovered in his life processes was that what controls what manifests in your life is your intention. And we talked a bit about that from a different point of view, about how the mind works, and how you have your who am I that you've built up, memories that have added to it, and the mind wants to protect what that is. And what we talked about before is how to expand the image of who you are. And meditation, and certainly creativity for me, being able to go into that experience of the other dimension of who we are. Some people call it consciousness, some people call it the absolute, some people call it God. But I certainly wouldn't want to be without it. And I tend to, as you know, try to formulate it as beauty. That beauty opens the doorway of the heart, so that the universal divine beauty of life is there. So it seems the echo has stopped. What I want to add to this is that I was looking for some paperwork, actually my V5 for my car, and I couldn't find it, but I did find some articles of interviews with my Sufi teacher, Irina Tweedy. And in there, she was asked, is there a different training for men to women? And I know this, it's been with me for a long time, and I don't think I've shared it. And what she said was that, yes, men and women have different training. And the difference is that men have been given the spark of life. And the thing that rules them is that there is this urge to release it, release it, create this way. I need to do this. So it can get very confused with cosmic creation, the spark, which comes with helping to create an environment where it can happen, with a lot of sexual imbalance drives. Now the woman, we've been given the creative force within. There isn't much in that regard that we have to do. But what we do have to do, because our urge, different to the man's, is I need safety, I'm creating, money needs to be here, protection needs to be here. And all those things create a need, an environment. And lo and behold, on a spiritual path, you have to be careful of your attachments. Because the inner nature is to create a safe environment and find a man who's willing to provide the spark and do the care and create the external environment. And throughout history, the women have been abused, misused, misunderstood, and the men wanted to have the power, ultimately. But all of us have gotten away, because if the world is dominated by the masculine principle right now, all the forms are not based on creating a safe environment for people and new people, then it is missing their feminine principle. So a bit of feminine principle needs to be reinstated, either through the man principle, if you're a man, to reconcile your own feminine principle with the purpose of bringing in the higher spirit of care and love and whatever else is your sole purpose. The female person needs to develop their masculine principle, but it needs to serve the highest relationship. And the problem is, if the women start to take the power, they might really create something not so great. If they haven't worked on their revenge, their hurts, their angers, their sadness, their depression, and a lot of this is archetypal from the past of the cycle of being woman. So we need to work on that so that we have a clear path to bring in the creative force and to love our man. That's a mouthful. I'm going to look at your messages. Hi, Graciela. Your Grace, actually, from Argentina. Farid is driving from North Carolina to Boynton Beach, Florida. They got snow down there, I hear. Weather's really strange in America. So Doreen says, hey girl, you look lovely, loving the story of your man and woman archetypes. She says, I rock. Big love. Yeah. Yvonne says that they're both beautiful and they complement each other as it is IMO in a spiritual sense. The feminine, masculine aspects. Hopefully it's got the spirit too. Cannon says, I'm no expert in this matter, but I believe females have as much a spark as males. Yes, they have a spark, but they can't impregnate the ova. But there is a universal spark that we all have when you touch the invisible aspect of what we are. And Rebecca says, it examines the masculine and feminine sides of God in love. Yeah, it's true. But as I said, there's always a triangle in everything that's manifested if you look for it. So the object, at least for me, in what I do when I'm creating, one obviously is to tune into that place where there's a balance between masculine, feminine, and the spirit. And then there's like in the sculptures, there's a technique that I use that helps create that space. It's a relationship between a very crisp, solid, defined line, which making the form visible, which dissolves, and it might go all the way around the sculpture. Then there is the flow, the feminine aspect, which is the bridge, the softness, so that when that crisp line starts to dissolve, you're starting to go into the bridge. But sometimes I don't have one line going straight. There'll be a space in between and it will continue on. And the space is the spirit aspect. And because those lines are not finished, you finish the sculpture. And by doing that, because the symbolism of my work is to activate the doorway in your creativity. And it's about anytime you go into that realm, there is the harmony between the masculine, feminine, and the spirit. So that space in between the unfinished lines represents the spirit. And as I said, you finish the sculpture. It's fun. And to create something that has a harmony around the whole thing. Yes, Becky, I'm looking forward to the spring. I saw my first snowdrops, and I see the daffodils are starting to come up. Verpy, here she goes. Yes, I agree that men and women are different, but what about other genders? Where do they stand? Whatever the outward gender might be, or what they feel, they still have the balance on the invisible realm of consciousness. There's still the purpose of how does that person bring balance into their lives. Dee, I'm doing very well. And happy that you could be with us, all of you. So let's see what else someone's saying. Juliet says, now after the hurt, her divorce, I just want to create a beautiful home, cozy, warm, and happy. Candles, art, blankets, lovely food, a log fire. Don't forget the art that you're creating. I've always been a homemaker, but would now like to have a masculine protection to complement that. But a soulful man, a kind man. I'm a bit old-fashioned, I guess. Well, to say that you want a soulful man means you're not old-fashioned. But you have to, all of our paths takes time to grow. And you're, from what I know of you, Juliet, is that you are working on your inner growth and your creative purpose. And let's just see how it goes. But don't rush it. Kenan says, there's nothing wrong with being old-fashioned. I think there's some great basic ideas that have been lived. But there is something new that will be integrated with it on the visible side. We're like humanity at the moment is being put in a interesting position of contemplation. The future's in our hands, but it will take us focusing on the now. It's a bit like if you had an arrow and you knew you had to send it out to the target, but you were in the dark, and there is no target. Right now, there is no target because we're manifesting the next cycle. And some of it will be bringing in the previous important aspects of living, the simplicity of it, the old-fashioned of it, but not the old-fashioned that creates a box where the individual can't fly and return back, and then fly and return back. You know, parts of me think, gosh, I just watched the movie Pretty Woman. And I thought, I'd like one of those. And I watch other movies where they're just the perfect man. And I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind one of those. But I have to be patient. And I have to see what comes. And I have to work on who I am. And yes, Becky, sometimes you get used to being single. But I think that when that happens, when your spark arrives, you can't say no. You'll know. But we have to build that place of knowing of who we are. So then a soulful man or a soulful woman will arrive that will appreciate the inner dimension. Hi, Tim. Juliet, I totally agree. Flying with a chap or with a lady, I just love that. But it needs to be of a special quality going into the newness of what our future for humanity is. Well, Lori says she loves her autonomy. That is probably what your soul needs you to do, concentrate on right now. How to bring in the best of who you are and what your soul needs us to do. Verby says she's happy being single. Life is less complicated. I've got used to it. I can imagine how I'd handle a relationship now. I know. Sometimes I look at my bed and think, gosh, I just spread myself all around. But I think when those cuddles arrive, it will be great. But having said that, we need to look at the now right now. So many of us are looking at the past and carry forth different judgments, and some of us are worried about just the future and what should I do or not. And the future comes with being now, every day. How are you doing it? What are your choices? Do you put a flower in your hair? Do you put a flower in your thoughts? Do you smile? Even if you're alone, you're still generating something possibly truly wonderful. So it starts with us individually. Love yourself. Love this moment. And the more that you have that energy coming to you, the more your external life will be in harmony. I truly believe that. But it's an interesting time right now. Tim, his sister said, instead of looking for my Mr. Right, I focus on becoming Mrs. Right. Yes, and the men can become the perfect Mr. Right. And Tim does it through his music. You have to check him out. Verby says that she worries about the future and about being left all alone. Yes, but a lot of that fear, I think, is been created. Number one, we have to bring in creating who we truly are. When you touch that place, you don't feel alone, you feel all one. It's not a concept that our society has within them yet. There are individual groups of people that have that. And if we had more people working from that place, the community would be different. You wouldn't be alone. You'd have neighbors. You could leave your door open. They'd be bringing in some hot cross buns or apple pie that they had made and you could share. In some ways, we need to bring those things back. But it's that fear we've been conditioned. And sometimes some of the movies we watch are really guilty of creating a subconscious expectation of danger. I mean, how many times have I seen Steven Seagal drop in through my conservatory windows. And how many of us, when you walk out, particularly the women walking out around the corner at night, do you feel safe? We have to change that. There's so much work to do, but the center of it is ourselves. And it's there. But all those conditioned fears and things and false images and judgment tendencies, they melt away. They melt away when you touch the divine heart within you. Becky loves her bed and she doesn't want to share it. Well, it might be that it's bliss for a long, long time, and maybe it'll change. Becky, it's so funny sometimes. She says, maybe find one that has its own bed. Some people are doing that because there's like a new relationship forming between masculine and feminine patterns. And sometimes it's easier to have separate apartments or separate bedrooms in the same house. Boundaries. Boundaries. Respect. And there's so much new that love needs us to live. It's soul changing, and I think for the best. You know, they say when one door closes, another one opens. Well, I think humanity is going through one of those right now. Let me see. Mark says, hi from Winchester. Hi, Mark. Love the sculpture posted by you. After my divorce, which I've come out the other side okay. So I'm taking stock with a plan to move forward. Building tree houses. Oh, I love tree houses. And we had a tree house once. Quite an elaborate tree house. Near one of our houses before David left. Actually, we've had two. The kids love them. They can go in there and dream. And I often said to them, the bigger the dream, the better. Rebecca has a third shift worker. Interesting. Grace says that she has, her bed is her ideal companion, and I do not share it with anyone. Well, from what I know, Grace, you're also going through transforming a lot of the hurt still, so you probably need your bed as your companion of safety. Not that I'm saying that you have to rush out and that you can't have life on your own. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but there is a tribe in South America who, they have dream lovers. The daytime is all about being in the field, doing the cooking, trying to bring in food from the hunt, all those things, water. And at night, they have a dream lover. Sounds pretty good to me. You can have the best at the moment. But I know that we're meant to be here. And men and women need to bring in the spirit more and then bring it into relationship. Some of us are just destined to just work on our own individual self, and others are here to bring forth a new way of relationship. And it's not easy. So I don't know what I am in this season, except to be an artist and to talk these concepts with you. Laurie says the Lenten season starts today. It was Ash Wednesday as well, wasn't it? Or is it today? Ash Wednesday. It's been ages since I've been to church. But I know what you mean. It's a new cycle. And it means you have to decide on something that you're going to let go of. I do that every day with my meditation, with my spiritual viewpoint, my path. And then say, okay, what am I going to focus on more? And the more that you focus on that, and as I said earlier, it's the intention. And do listen to Michael's podcasts, agelesswisdom.com, I believe, and it's Michael Benner. Sharon, great lesson. The only bird that will peck at an eagle is the crow. He sits on his back and bites his neck. An eagle does not respond or fight with the crow. It doesn't waste time or energy on the crow. It simply opens its wings and begins to rise higher in the sky. And the higher the flight, the harder it is for the crow to breathe. And eventually the crow falls due to the lack of oxygen. The same can be said about ourselves when another tries to bring us down. Instead of being distracted by the meaningless efforts of another, keep doing and going to the height where it'll become too much for them that they have to let go. Don't waste your time with crows. Just take them to your heights and they'll fade. And may you fly to new heights. How beautiful. Interesting. Do you know, Stephen Schwartz on Michael's interview last night said someone asked Gandhi, how was it that they got the British to leave India without a war? And he said, it's down to the intention. And that's what we have to think about right now. What's our individual intention for our lives? And what needs to be the global intention? Because we can do it without a war. There is often struggle in the spiritual path of ascension. And it's usually down to your nervous system integrating another level of energy. You're transforming. When I worked in mental color therapy, healing sessions for many years, this is what I worked with Lily. She was the elder, a wise elder, that we were doing helping people. Because there generally isn't a book out there. And a lot of spiritual practices that are there, they're not helping you integrate this energy into your nervous system. Mrs. Tweedy used to say that the majority of people in insane asylums are Kundalini cases. Your Kundalini can rise even if you're not working spiritually. It might be your soul process. There's a really good book on it by Gopi Krishna about his path dealing with the Kundalini, which is basically the energy in your spine, so that there are two paths of energy coming down and one that rises. And a lot of people like transcendental meditation. We had to help a lot of people where their practices were to twiddle their coccyx and try to raise that energy, and they weren't shifting what their pattern of thought or intention was for their lives. And even why were they doing that? Just to get off. And then one person, it was so hot, he was so hot from the Kundalini rising in his body that he had to go out in the night and walk barefoot on the grass for most of the night. But Lily, with our help, helped him. And when I was working, we worked in pairs, she said, Ginger, don't think of energy. I thought, wow, how am I supposed to do that? I was a novice then. I don't know if I helped at all. I don't know. How do you think not to have energy when you're having contact with another person through healing? But it's probably just down to intention. What was our intention when we were helping him? So, interesting. I've been contemplating whether I dare answer Becky's last question. But I think I will. She asked, is that just masturbating, having a dream lover? Not entirely, though that can happen. But there's actually another space of relationship that we have. And a lot of healers use it. It's called consciousness, that where you can send healing. I've had in the night Mrs. Tweedy come to me when I was in Hawaii one summer. And she talked to me and talked to me and talked to me. It was like as real. She was sitting there on the bed. And at the end of it, she said, right, Ginger, I told you everything that you need to know. So get to work, and you don't need to come back to me. So I waited 6 months because I missed going to the group before I went in, and she just blanked me. And I knew she's right. So since I've been in my own process, watching life come to me and seeing the hints and the miracles that happen. And the struggles are an opportunity to see what is it that I have to let go, what is it I have to integrate. And when it comes to Dream Lover within the Senoi tribe, it was a real lover. I don't know what they got up to, but I can imagine. And it probably was really great. And lots of other things come in the night. Hints of what you need to do, voices that will direct you. Mrs. Tweedy used to say that there were 4 types of dreams. One is your psychological hints and worries. And then the other is more to do with a vision for the collective. And then there's the psychological concerns for the collective. And the 4th is when your teacher or your dream lover comes to you. But you have to leave the doorway open. We have to let ourselves have a pleasant life. So Fareed says that He likes what I'm saying is wonderfully true. Unfortunately, most of us are born in confusion with no one to guide us. Thus we live by trial and error. The simple reason for present state of affair mankind today, we are oblivious to the true universal purpose of life. Women have the power to change the world if only they would make better choices in their men. They choose to accept their spark. Well, Fareed, it is a process that humanity is going through to recognize that spark, has to be a creative spark too, bringing peace and love and calmness. And the women need to evolve too. We're all evolving right now. And I'll bring it back to Stephen Schwartz's comment about the intention is what counts. And you know what? It's almost time to say so long. This was a wonderful night. Becky says, build your own church space altar. Totally great. Mark does his best as always. I love it. And Verpi says, I think one of my life's purposes is to learn to love myself and be enough for myself. Verpi, if you realized how much you are, your heart would be so fulfilled. And I will constantly encourage you about that because you just radiate heart. You radiate your doubts. And Mrs. Tweedy, when she was with her guru and he told her to write her story, because she was the first woman to write a training in the Sufi tradition of a woman, he said, don't forget to write your doubts because they're really important. We don't want to sink under them, but they do help. And Verpi, I look forward to your heart expanding even more. Thank you, Doreen. She says, Iris is the goddess of rainbows. I didn't have an iris for my hair, so I'm wearing a crown. Ha! Love your flowers. It's very Maui with much aloha. Doreen, that's where I got them. I found them as I was looking for something because there's no live flowers in my garden. And Donald says, you have to love yourself first. Yes. And Sharon dreams so intense that I would have to say my dream life is somewhere I love to go. I hope you write them down, Sharon. And see how they influence your daily life. Verpi says that she has very vivid dream life, and sometimes it feels more real than this reality that sometimes feels so gray. But I also have lots of psychological stress dreams. Well, your psychological stress dreams are an indication of what you need to work in order to not have stress in your day. I'd be interested if you were to write them down and see what happens, how you can gain hints. You know what, guys? It's time to go. Goodness gracious. Well, it is so long, Verbi. I know. Lori, are you having lots of snow? I know Houston is. Donald, you can message me in the normal way that you do. No problem. Juliet's final comment is, I think, definitely love ourselves. Yes. I know, it's a temptation, Juliet. Some man shouted at her, and she shouted back. Little Tess. Little Tess. Kimberly, thank you for your poetry. I believe I answered you back. Very special. And please keep it up, and I'd love to see more. Good night, Richard. Love to your family. Thank you, Sylph. Thank you, Sharon. And it's time to go. So thank you ever so much. And I've got to switch over. So long. Be well. Love yourself. Say hi to your dream lover if he shows up. I wonder if I'll see one tonight. You never know.